Hey friend, welcome back to Grief Questions Answered. I'm Eric, and it's my goal with these videos to share everything with you that I've learned about how to find support, eliminate the loneliness of grief, and gain some understanding so that we can survive and get back up and live beyond the loss of our loved one. And if this grief tip doesn't help you today, I am confident that it can and will help you at some point in the future, so please be sure to save this video for then. And if you haven't done so yet, click that subscribe button down below, as this is one of the best ways to get notified of new videos like this and to support this channel. I want to talk today about a question that came in to our Let's Walk Together community from a person named Julie. And Julie asks, I'm always so afraid I'll be that Debbie Downer person when something makes me cry. I just get so embarrassed when I cry around people. How do I stop? And I am so glad that she asked that question, because I can tell you that any type of grief can make us cry for a long period of time. And I know that grief is really challenging to navigate by itself. And so I hope this message helps. Because grief is hard enough by itself, when we're around others and we're grieving, it can really be hard to put that face on that everything is okay and try to contain those emotions at times. And by the way, this isn't your fault. It's just really hard to do that. And so let me go a little bit deeper on this. I feel like grief is kind of like an emotional bumper car ride in that it contains all of the emotions that go along with grief, and they're swirling around inside of our head and they're crashing into one another, and they're amplified. And so when we lose a loved one, we feel these emotions intensely. I'm talking about fear, sadness, numbness, guilt, even joy and hope at times. But some of these feelings can go really deep, and when they impact us, it's really hard. And so when we lose a loved one, this bumper car ride of emotions becomes amplified. And all of this is in an effort to help us cope with what we're feeling. And so in the case of crying, because of the sadness, please know that what you're feeling is normal and it's okay. We simply want to get off of this bumper car ride, right? And so, but you're releasing these emotions as a way to cope. I remember after I lost Zoe, every morning when I opened my eyes, the pain hit me like a ton of bricks within 2 seconds. And sometimes I would cry for 2 hours at a time. And sometimes it felt like I couldn't stop. And honestly, I didn't know how to. And partially I didn't want to, because I wanted to let it come out when I was by myself. But what I found out was that giving myself permission to cry, it helped to reduce the intensity of my emotions later on when I was around others sometimes. And other times it still was intense. If you're finding that it's really hard to keep it together for family, friends, or other people, then maybe it would help to create a private space in your home or at work where you can go at any time of the day to feel what you need to feel for as long as you need to feel it. And look, I get this. It may be difficult to do that, but even 15 minutes of uninterrupted crying in a space like this can help to reduce the pressure of the grief so that you can make it through a day or a conversation with someone else. And by the way, my car was an excellent space to do this in. I just had to make sure I had to pull over sometimes, because sometimes it was really hard, right? But I want to keep going a little bit and talk a little bit more about being around others, because it's really important here. It can be difficult for some people to know how to respond to someone who's grieving or struggling with a loss. That uncomfortableness that you're feeling may also give you the urge to isolate yourself from others altogether. And here's a grief tip: don't do that. I get it. When I suggested a couple of minutes ago that you find that private space to grieve, I'm not encouraging isolation, because that can actually make the emotions harder to manage, over and over again if we're doing that. What I am encouraging, though, is to find and give yourself some of that space to feel what you need to feel so that you can connect and be around others. Give yourself permission to do that. It's okay. And if you're feeling like you're isolating now, don't beat yourself up about it. I get it. I did that too. My guidance here is to reach out and post in a grief support group or call your coach or your therapist, because isolation is one of the main reasons why people stay stuck in their grief for a very long time. They get comfortable there. The good news is there's a lot of resources to help you get unstuck and to reconnect with others so that you don't feel so lonely here. But let's get back to the reason and the meaning of why your emotions are making others uncomfortable. First, maybe they've not experienced a significant loss in their life and they're basing their response on a Hollywood approach, right? Which is, oh, it's 10 minutes have gone by. You should be on to the next part of your journey. No, it doesn't work like that, right? Maybe they've experienced a loss in life and they were raised in a culture or an environment where emotions were not openly expressed, or for that matter, they were discouraged from showing their emotions. And look, that's a very common thing with a lot of people, especially men who are grieving. And I'll talk more about that in an upcoming video, but just know that that's possible. It could be that others may not know how to respond to your grief. They may feel uneasy or even overwhelmed by the intensity of your emotions. And again, that's not your fault. You're doing the best you can with what you have. And so trying to dial it back so that they're comfortable makes it uncomfortable too. So maybe they feel helpless on how to support you through your grief. And they say some uncomfortable things and then they ghost you. No pun intended. Maybe they feel like they're not equipped to provide the level of emotional support that you need in that moment. And maybe they're afraid of doing or saying the wrong thing. And I've seen that before too. Maybe even they say some unhelpful and hurtful things to you. I don't know if you've had that happen to you. It's happened to me. If it's happened to you, please comment below. I want to hear. But the main thing to remember here is that it's okay to feel whatever emotions come up for you. And someone's response or reaction to how you're grieving isn't necessarily about you. It's usually that it's bringing up something about them and what they may be struggling with internally or haven't resolved yet in their own life. Either way, what's important here to remember here is to focus on what you need in that moment, to protect your energy, to protect yourself so that you can feel like you're not withering away, right? And sometimes you do need to walk away to protect your energy that you have left, and that's okay too, right? And then maybe if you want to come back and talk to them afterwards, that's fine. There aren't any rules here, but except just to take care of yourself. And by the way, if you can connect to someone else who is supportive and who doesn't judge you and who can listen to you without telling you what you should be doing, then be around that kind of person more. We need more of that, especially on our journey, because that kind of energy and connection will help accelerate your movement out of the survival mode that you're feeling. And so, Julie, it is okay to cry. Crying is actually a sign of courage, strength, and bravery. And my question to you is, can you give yourself permission to cry when you need to and in a space that allows for that full expression of how you're feeling? And by the way, please be safe if you're in a car. Pull over or wait to go. But if you're finding that it's not getting any better after some trying of these tips, then please connect with your coach, counselor, or even go back into the group for support, because that is non-judgmental environments that we all need for our grief. And so, Julie, I'm hoping this message really helps some. Let's continue to walk together, guys, because I know that everyone who's watching this video is probably experienced some of this before. But do you have any questions about grief that I can answer for you? Please let me know in the comments below. And by the way, don't forget to get your own free grief support group, a Sherpa named Zoe. Just head over to yourjourneyguided.com/free grief book. Tell us where to ship it, and if you cover the $6.95 shipping and handling, we'll send out your copy right away. I've already picked up the cost of the printing of the book. And again, don't forget to click subscribe below. I'm looking forward to seeing you all in next week's video.